Hello and welcome to Flock and Fern. In this video I'm going to take you through the second part of knitting our super cute sheep. In part 1 we covered the body of the sheep, so we have that ready, and now in this video we're going to cover the head, arms, legs and ears of our super cute little sheep. So for this video you will need the body of the sheep. You'll also need size 7mm knitting needles, a row counter or a pencil and paper to keep track, or alternatively keep note on the written pattern itself, which you can get at the link at the bottom of the video. You'll also need some contrasting yarn to the colour of the body. I'm using black for the body parts today, keeping it traditional sheep style. You'll also need a darning needle that's got a loop big enough for the super chunky yarn that we're using in today's video. Some scissors, some safety toy eyes, or alternatively another contrasting yarn like a grey to use for creating the eyes of the sheep, and some toy filling that you can get from a craft store or a yarn shop. Okay, let's get started. We're going to start with the head. And to do that, we need to cast on 12 stitches in the yarn colour that you've decided to use for the body parts. So I'm going to start by making a slip knot. If you need some more advice on how to do a slip knot and cast on, then check out the video that's on the screen now, and that'll take you through in slow motion, which is really good for beginners. So we've got our slip knot on the needle and we're going to cast on using the long tail method 12 stitches. So I'm just going to check that that's 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Always a good idea to keep track of the amount of stitches on your needle, because when you're doing a pattern like this where we're increasing and decreasing, it just helps with keeping track. So we've got 12 stitches on the needle, and now with our very first row we are going to knit front and back into every stitch, and that's going to double the amount of stitches on there to 24. So to knit front and back, I'm just going to go in to do a normal knit stitch, and then going to wrap the yarn round, pull it through, and then not slide off. I'm going to take the right needle, pull a bit of slack, twist it around and go back into the back of that same stitch, and then go into knit again. So that's how we double our stitches, and this is our increase. And just do that right the way along. Okay, so we're coming to the end of this first row of increase, and once we finish this we're going to just double check the amount of stitches that we've got on the needle. Perfect, and I'm going to mark that first row done on my row counter so I can just keep track as I go along. So now with row 2 I'm going to do a purl row right the way along all those stitches, including the brand new ones that you've just made. If you need any advice or practice on a purl stitch, then we've got a really easy step-by-step video on this technique that's available at the link that's on the screen now. So that's the end of row 2. Switch ourselves round, mark that row. Now from rows 3 to 18, we are going to just continue in stocking stitch. So we're going to knit all the way along in row 3, then row 4 we will purl and continue that till we get to row 18. So we are just getting to the end of row 18 and our purl will be working in stocking stitch. Mark that on there. So for row 19, we're going to do our decrease to shape the head, and we're doing the opposite to what we did for our increase. So we're going to knit 2 together right the way along those 24 stitches, which will take us back to 12 stitches. So to knit 2 together, we're going to go into that second stitch on the left hand needle and pick up both those stitches and then just knit them both together to decrease. And into that second stitch, pick up both, knit, and just do that right the way along. And last 2, knit those 2 together as well. There we go. So that was row 19. So for row 20, we are just going to purl along those 12 stitches. And then we're almost finished the head of our sheep. So that's us finished row 20 of our purl. Now what we're going to do is get our scissors and cut the yarn away from the ball end. So we've left quite a bit of a tail, maybe about 12 centimeters. Then taking up our darning needle, we are going to loop that through. And then we are going to pick up each of these stitches and pull to secure, and that's our cast off, and that kind of creates the nose of the sheep in doing so. Pull that nice and tight and it will come together. There we go, and this is the head of our little sheep. We're going to put that back through and then tie a wee knot to secure on the inside. And that's us knitted our head of our sheep. And so now let's move on. Okay, so now we are going to knit our ears for our sheep. And to do that, we're going to start by casting on again. So we're going to use the long tail method again, creating our slip knot. And then we are going to cast on another 7 stitches on top of this, so that we'll have 8 in total. Just check that's 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, perfect. And then moving those stitches into your left hand, take up your next needle, and we are going to purl right the way across those 8 stitches. And that forms row 1. So we're just going to mark that on our little row counter. And then row 2, we're going to knit into every stitch. And then we're going to continue in stocking stitch until row 7. And then row 7, we're going to do a decrease. Okay, so that's us finished row 6, and now we're going to do our decrease, which is purling 2 together right the way across. So we're going from 8 stitches to 4 stitches. So to do so, we're going to go into those 2 stitches on the left needle as if to purl, so in the front. Take the yarn, wrap it round as if to just purl, but you've got 2 stitches together, that's all. And that's our decrease. last two. There we have it. And then all we're going to do is cut, leaving a tail again, thread through and secure. Now, because these are the ears, we need to do 2 of those. So we're just going to repeat all of that again. First of all though, let's thread through and secure. So we're going to cut, leaving a bit of a tail. Got our darning needle. And slide these stitches off. And just hook them up with our needle, pull it through and pull it nice and tight, and that's forming the top of the ear there. And then I'm just going to pass that through and knot that to secure it in place. That's our cute little ear. Oh. And so yeah, repeat all that again for another ear, exactly the same. Okay, so now that we've done 2 ears, we need to do 2 legs. So to do the legs, we are going to cast on 6 stitches. So always starting off with that slip knot. There we go. And again, we're going to use the long tail method and cast on those 6 stitches. Just double check, 2, 4, 6, perfect. So starting with row 1, we are going to purl every stitch right the way along. There we are. And don't forget to keep track of the amount of rows that you're doing, mainly because you need to do 2 of these, so they need to be exact same or it will look a bit silly. So row 2, we are going to knit right the way along. And row 3, we're going to purl again. And then what we're going to do is just continue in this reverse stocking stitch until we get to row 21. And then at row 21, we're going to decrease. So we're just going to continue as we are till we get to row 21. Okay, so we're just on row 20 now of the stocking stitch for the leg. So now with row 21, we are going to decrease. So we're going to decrease by half. So I'm going to purl 2 together right the way across the row. So it's going from 6 to 3 stitches. So just same as the ear, I'm just going to go into that second stitch, picking up both of them and purl those 2 together. Go into both. It's a little fiddly, come on. There we go. And purl those 2 together. And last 2. Purl those 2 together. There we have it. Right, so what we're going to do now is cut off, leaving a little tail, and we're going to thread through and secure. So because it's only going through 3 stitches, we don't need too long a tail, but we will use that for part of the sewing up bit of the sheep. Let's slide those off. And I'm just going to pick them up with the darning needle, pull it through, and then secure that in place. Fully knot. There we have it. There's one of our legs. So we need to repeat all that again to create our second leg. There we go. Got our 2 sheep's legs. And now we're going to move on to the arms. Okay, so for the arm, we're going to start again with our slip knot. And we're going to use long tail method. And we're going to cast on 6 stitches again, just like the leg. And just double check the amount of stitches. Perfect. Okay, so starting with row 1, we are going to purl into every stitch. There we go. And then again, keeping track of our rows because we're doing 2 of these, so we need them to be the exact same length. And into row 2, we're going to knit right the way across. And row 3, we're going to purl. And we're just going to continue in stocking stitch until we get to row 13, and then we're going to decrease. Okay, so we're just finishing row 12 of our stocking stitch for our arm. There we go. With row 13, we are going to do our decrease. So similar to the leg, we're going to half it. So we're going to purl 2 together right across the row. So we're going from 6 stitches to 3 stitches. 2 together. There we have it. So now we've got 3 stitches left on the needle. We're going to cut the yarn, thread through and secure. And then don't forget to just do a wee knot on the other side to secure that in place. There we go. There's our arm. So now we're going to repeat that again so that we've got 2 arms the exact same. So don't forget to count your rows. Okay, so we've got 2 arms ready to go. And that's us now knitted every component of our sheep. Our next video is going to take us step by step through how to make it all together and make it come alive. This includes using toy stuffing to shape all the different parts and attaching some eyes and sewing it together. So I'm hoping that you found this video really useful. If you did, it really helps us with the amount of time it takes to film this and to come up with the patterns and things. If you could hit subscribe, it just shows that our content's useful and helps us to make sure that whatever we're producing next is something that you like. Also, if you did really like it, feel free to give us a little thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments, then feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Now, if you do want to charge ahead with knitting the sheep, that's absolutely fine. The pattern is at the link in the text below. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you on the next part of this sheep journey, and happy knitting!